They call it the Temu Eurofighter. What do I call it? One of the best jets that you can buy. Hey there, I'm John. This is Two Brothers RC, and this is that jet that shot down a Rafale. Well, not this exact jet, but this type of jet. It's the Freewing J-10 90mm. It's been a year, and man, what a year it's been. This Temu-esque jet has become my favorite jet to fly right now, and that should shock anyone who watches this channel on the reg, even you hate watchers. Love you guys, because I really don't have any favorites. Normally. Why is it my favorite? Because of this. This. And this. With some mods and some stick practice, this jet will blow your mind if you're not a crusty old dinosaur who thinks that gyros are bad. Yeah, I said it. So, let's dive into this and see how it stacks up a year later. I've been flying this jet almost as long as I've been a club member at RDRC. In that time, I've also been to Joe Nall twice, and I've only seen this jet in the wild one time, and that was at Nall 2024. If it flies so good, why isn't anyone flying it? The biggest problem with the J-10 is that it's not an American jet. Dudes in the United States love them some American jets. Don't get me wrong here, I love them too, but you gotta be willing to fly any kind of foam if you want to really experience the whole breadth of offerings in model aviation. Or you can be like this guy and think that whatever jet you're flying happens to coincide with your chosen political views. The reason I'm flying the J-10 isn't because I love China, it's because just about every foam plane is made in China, including the American jets that dudes like this love so much in model scale. I fly it because it flies awesome, not because I care about what country it represents. If it was up to me, we'd all be flying ace combat schemes so that I can say Belka did nothing wrong. This is the single best flying jet that I've ever owned at this scale that didn't have thrust vectoring in it. The only other jet that comes close is any variant of the F-22 except the 64mm, which is kinda doo-doo. Now, don't let me jork off the angle of attack sensor too much on this thing. It ain't perfect. The biggest issue with this jet is the landing gear. Landing the J-10 does require some finesse because it's got a narrow wheelbase. If you want to try and use those massive canards as air brakes, you gotta worry about loading up the front wheel, which will cause it to ground loop and tip over at speed. Do this enough times and you'll get some nice skid marks developing on the plastic parts of the wing. This narrow wheelbase also makes it very susceptible to high crosswinds. Long story short, I took off, the winds got bad, I decided to land and wait it out until the winds would go away. My wife convinced me to fly again on the same pack that was kinda depleted, so I went back up and immediately regretted the decision to take off because the winds became even worse. Look at AS3X Plus doing its magic to keep the plane stable with my custom throttle to gain mix and full gyro gains on display, but that ain't enough to keep it from tipping over on the ground. Good thing you can buy an overpriced bag of spare plastic parts from Freewing if you want to replace the wing skids, because you're probably gonna have to do it at least once. The wheelbase on this plane is the biggest problem with it, so go into it knowing that because it's not the easiest plane to land as a result. And if you've got to fly in a crosswind, I'd suggest that you just not fly this jet in a crosswind at all. Fly something else. If you want to get the most out of the J-10, you don't need to upgrade the servos like I did because I stuffed $240 of AGF servos into the jet for more torque, speed, and precision, which is something that I do when I really like how something flies. But you can definitely do what I'm doing on screen with the stock servos because most of the maneuverability on display here is coming from stuffing the battery into the turtle deck to shift the center of gravity back at least 40 millimeters. This jet is super twitchy if you fly it on my recommended full span aileron setup seen on screen, and to get this you need to directly wire the servos to the receiver and bypass the blue box as much as possible. Full span ailerons give it ridiculous pitch and roll authority, but you will need a gyro to tamp down the roll behavior if you fly it like this, and you absolutely will require a gyro if you start putting the center of gravity as far back as I like to, because it's super pitch sensitive and nearly uncontrollable without superhuman reflexes. In other words, it flies like a fighter jet instead of a Cessna. Look, I got nothing against you if you enjoy flying your fighter jet with a Cessna's center of gravity. Fly how you want. I just want my fighter jet to fly like a fighter jet is designed to. But let's be real, if you came to Two Brothers RC looking for circle flying and you plan to go into the comments to complain that you didn't find circle flying here, hey, let me do you a solid and show you the high alpha performance of this jet flown in a circle. This jet does high alpha so well, so well. But like any other Delta jet, once you get the angle of attack too high, it doesn't stall, it slides out of controlled flight in a random direction until the vertical tail gets airflow again. I nearly lost the jet earlier this year, twice in a couple of moments, literal moments because of this. And this recovery is why I suggest flying with max throws and the gyro gains that you'll see later on. Because if my dumbass can recover from this storm, you can do it too. It's not just performant and upright high alpha either. It'll do it inverted. This is strange to watch for me because most Deltas can't do this. Only Rafale and the J-10 can do it so far. Eurofighter is a massive disappointment in this area, and the Mirage kinda does it, but it's super unstable and you'll probably crash like I did. Twice.
Oh!
Shifting the center of gravity back unlocks so much of this jet's true potential, and I'm sure it might be even better on an 8-cell setup, but I'm kinda loath to add that weight to the airframe considering this thing is already a flying pig and I don't think it needs any more weight. It does what I tell it to do, but at a cost. It does kind of piss off the batteries if you're flying as aggressively as I am, so you might want to consider running an 8-cell setup so that you don't have to use full throttle to get the same levels of thrust that you're seeing here throwing it around. Before we move on, do consider scrolling down a little and hit that like button for me, and if you're not already subscribed, definitely consider it. If you're not part of our Discord chat server yet, hop down to the description below, join up and chat airplanes with us. And if you want to see more airplanes like this, help fund them with us so that we can buy them and show them to you because companies like Motion RC refuse to send these out to demo. Consider being a channel member on twobrosrc.com/supporters today. So, that's the maneuverability of the J-10 on display, at least as much as I'm able to push it. Get a better pilot on the sticks than me, and you'll probably see even more crazy stuff that this thing is capable of doing. I did what I could with my limited skill set, but man, did I have fun. The J-10 is the standard of all turbine-powered thrust vector jets for a very specific reason, and that reason is everything you've seen on screen so far. It's resistant to stalling, it can be thrown around without thrust vectoring, and if you mod it thrust vectoring into this thing, it would become even more ridiculous. I think you can clearly see why I consider this jet to be my favorite one so far, and it's hard to call anything my favorite because every aircraft excels at doing something. This one just happens to excel at doing a lot. High alpha, inverted high alpha, flat spins, backflips, cobras, inverted cobra spins, blenders, slow rolls, landings on a calm day, scale takeoffs, you name it. This is easily the best jet that Freewing sells at the moment. It just sucks for some dudes that it's not an American jet. If we got a thrust vectored upgrade option, nothing else would come close. Those are my thoughts a year later. Fight me in the comments below if you disagree. Before I wrap up this vid and move on to thanking our awesome supporters, here's the Gyro Info modified for those of you using stock servos. These gains seem high, and they are, but they're necessary to produce similar results to what you're seeing from the upgraded servos at the center of gravity, because the stock servos are slower, not as precise, and not as strong as the recommended upgrades. It took some testing to get the gains dialed in for this jet on the new servos. The first few test flights resulted in roll oscillation, which is awful, but part of the process. After I corrected that, I quickly ran into another awful situation, pitch oscillation. Once I got the gains correct and set the throttle-based gain mix to the first point being 0, the second being -20, and the third being -50, it flew perfect afterward. Click the card at the top right to learn how to set up a throttle-based gain system, and use the points I just mentioned. Position 0 at 0, position 1 at -20, and position 2 at -50 on a curved mix. It's easier than you think. Here's the gains for the upgraded servo setup. If you want to know how to set this jet up, the setup guide linked at the top right and in the description below covers it thoroughly. And if you have any questions, ask on Discord via the link below as well. Huge thanks goes out to our channel members on twobrosrc.com/supporters for helping make videos like this possible. And a very special thanks goes out to our mega fans, Sarasota RC Squadron, Michael Smith, JR Man, and Todd, along with our ultra fans, Seahawk92 and TBRC Fan. You guys kick so much ass. Coming up soon will be the 1-year look at the E-flite Super Timber. It's getting real hot here in North Carolina, but we'll get the rest of this plane filmed and wrapped up for you. See you guys next week.